Hello. Today I will be presenting on the benchmark lesson plan rationale and reflection based on the integrated reading and writing lesson plan. My name is Rachel Lavender. I have been a teacher for 5 years and I have been a team lead for 2 of those years. My overall lesson focused on a first grade classroom and finding the main idea and key details in a text. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to find or will be able to identify key details in a text. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to identify the main topic in a text. And by the end of the lesson, students will be able to write a simple, informative sentence about the text. The summary of the lesson is to help students find main idea and key details in an informational text. The informational text is the life cycle of a frog. This is connected to the science of reading, uses elements of universal design, and is connected and based on the science of writing. Effective reading. The lesson is grounded in the science of reading and prioritizes Garbo's reading rope. In the lesson, students focus on finding that main idea in the informational text in multiple ways. This is presented with a short video at the beginning about frogs. This helps to build background knowledge and increases engagement. Another way the science of reading is incorporated is in a topic web. This helps to build the vocabulary the students will need in order to write about the text later. Some other strategies that will be used is to highlight important details and the title of the text. This will be done with the teacher to help decrease misconceptions and will help the students be able to understand where important details may fall. At the end of the lesson, students will get to cut and paste. This is one way to help engage students in the learning process and is a fun way to close the lesson. This helps to build connection to literacy knowledge and is engaging for the first graders. Diving deeper, it includes multiple ways for students to build the information in their mind. It helps to increase short-term memory into long-term memory. One way I plan on doing this is by having the students create a poster with their classmates and doing a short gallery walk. This helps students to critically think about what they're learning and helps them to process the information, building comprehension, decreasing cognitive load, and using multiple means of representation to help reach all the learners. The writing rope is heavily incorporated into the lesson by providing students with background knowledge and vocabulary. It also incorporates critical thinking, syntax, and text structure and the writing craft. One way text structure is incorporated is by having the teacher model for the students a sentence and then having the students practice their sentence with the writing craft. The students will draft their sentence and will get effective feedback to help them understand punctuation, syntax, and capitalization. The theoretical, conceptual, historical connection to reading and writing. The integrated reading and writing lesson plan is based on the science of reading and writing. The lesson is created to make connections between reading and writing. Reading and writing are very connected, and it's important students understand the process of both to have strong foundational skills. In my lesson, universal design is incorporated to help increase the student's ability to access the knowledge. This helps support the science of reading and writing by making sure students have a systematic way of learning. Every part of the engagement strategies within the lesson are connected to reading and writing with the science of each. For example, students learn how to build background knowledge, they learn how to find syntax, and they learn verbal reasoning to help them support the ideas that they will write about. The goal is to help provide students with strong comprehension skills. The information about the life cycle of the frog helps engage students. It's a fun concept, and the students get multiple ways to pull that information. Students have a informational anchor chart to pull from, a topic web, and have support with a modeled sentence, and then practice on their own with effective feedback. This helps to provide students with critical thinking, verbal reasoning, and gives them the foundation and the vocabulary to be successful in their writing. It helps connect the reading to writing and helps them to be ready to fully understand main idea and details in a text. Instructional choices to support diverse needs. My focus in this lesson was to make sure all my students would be able to access the information. I used picture cards to help my students with their vocabulary words. This helps to help students who are English learners or students who may have IEPs. In addition, by modeling and highlighting, this helps to give students access to what is a key detail and what is a main idea. In addition, there is also put supports with cutting and pasting and labeling parts of the frog. This helps students to see the information one more time in a different way and helps to engage all learners. The video also provides students with a visual representation of what the text is stating. The graphic organizer provides clear guidelines that help scaffold the information so that all students can be successful. This supports cognitive learning by decreasing cognitive load and helps information go into long-term memory. The goal is for all students to have access to the content. Moving into the ethical and Christian worldview. It's important to have a Christian and ethical worldview when creating a lesson. When I created this lesson, I have the ethical responsibility to help my students learn the content. I believe this is done through multiple means of representation, teaching the students with different ways that they can access the content. I also believe that all learners need to have best practice. That means to have the science of reading and science of math fully incorporated in the lesson. One example is incorporating anchor charts and key details with vocabulary words and labeling parts of the frog. This helps all students to be able to access the content and helps students to also be able to learn from each other through think, pair, shares and a gallery walk. Another example is having students reading and writing and connecting them. When students connect the text and the writing, they are building critical thinking and it's best practice. When students have access to best practice, they have the foundations in order to be successful. As a Christian, it is important to use best practice and to use science to help students be successful in the classroom. In conclusion, it is vital for all research for lessons to be grounded in the science. The science of reading informed my decisions to make the integrated reading and writing lesson plan. Scarborough's reading rope, the second strand, was the priority of the lesson to help build comprehension with main idea and details in the text. Building background knowledge was an important component in helping students to be successful to understand the content. It helped build literacy knowledge with understanding informational text. In addition, I used critical thinking, the syntax, text structure, the writing craft to help students be successful with their writing. In addition, it's important to make sure students have both reading and writing foundationally strong. This leads to successful students in the classroom and provides them with a strong foundation. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful evening.